Yeah. Is the microphone on? All right, good. Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. I want to talk about how we designed our game, First Strike. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Pro Helvetia. Danima, thank you very much for helping us, having us here. We have a booth outside at the entry to the conference, and there are a lot of other Swiss games, and I really hope you come by and check them out. So, First Strike, I want to talk about our sources of inspirations and how we developed and marketed it. We launched it 1.5 years ago. So, first, inspiration and why we did that game. To be honest, it's a beer idea. So, after a conference in Lausanne, 2013, we were on the way back and we drank too much beer and we had some burgers, and my co-founder and I said, okay, now it's time to do our own game. Before we just worked for clients and we did services, and we thought, okay, what will be a good topic to make a game about? Something that's really powerful, something that's interesting, something that has a lot of room for different ideas. And I said to Jeremy, why not make a game about nuclear war? You know, a real bomb game, a game where you can destroy the world and have fun. And, you know, I also asked him, can we do that? And he said, yes, maybe I will have an idea. And he's immediately at the night, he started scratching out the idea. And it was very, very quick. It took him like 2 days or 3 days to make an idea. And he said, why, look, it will be very, very pretty simple. You will just have, as a player, you will just have the world in your hand, the little world, and you will be able to swipe around, and it's kind of, you will have your neighbors. We will divide the world into several superpowers. Real country borders won't matter. He already said, we will delete Switzerland, our home country. It doesn't matter in this superpower nuclear world. And you will have your kind of radiuses where you can shoot your rockets, and basically that's it. Oh yeah, and by the way, you should be able to defend yourself. So that was the basic concept for First Strike. So he was very quick with his idea and saying, yes, we can do that. I will have an idea, or I have already my concept. And, by the way, I also have a name. Let's call it First Strike. But I meant something other by asking him, can we do that? I meant more, are we allowed to do a fun game about such a serious topic? Can we do such a game without kind of losing our honor and reputation, since nuclear war is a really, really serious topic? You know, there are several hotspots in the world where it just can get really pretty fast, very seriously, politically wise. In North Korea or in Iran, with Israel, this is a very, very dangerous situation. And hopefully we will not have the scenario where the two left superpowers with a very big arsenal, you know, United States and USSR, battle themselves with nuclear wars, because basically that will be the end for humanity. So we started doing research where in games you had the chance to shoot a nuclear bomb. So in Fallout you can actually shoot a mini nuke. That's quite fun. You can shoot the city with a mini nuke. There is Activision's Call of Duty 4. One of your main characters dies during a mission because someone drops a bomb. There was Nasscom. I love that game. 2006, Nuclear War, where nuclear war is actually the center of the game. And if you go back in the history of video games, there was even 30 years ago, Chris Crawford's Balance of Power was actually the first game that had the topic of nuclear war. So there is a long history of games with nuclear power. So there were others who did that. And in this game, actually, you don't have to shoot rockets. You have to try to prevent a nuclear war with diplomacy. So we are made in 1983. So when I asked around my friends, my older friends, my parents, are we allowed to do a game about nuclear war? It was quite interesting. They said, oh, no, you shouldn't do a game about such a serious topic. So I don't know if you remember that in '89, the Berlin Wall collapsed and the Soviet Union passed away. So it's actually very, very interesting. People that are born after that, they all think it's no problem to do a game about nuclear war. But people who are born before and who experienced the Cold War said, it's probably not a good idea to make a game about nuclear war. So in the end, we decided, yes, we can do a game about nuclear war. So we started building it. So now, first, let me quickly show you what's the game about. So this is First Strike, and let me show you the trailer. Can you turn on music? I go back. Is it okay? So this was the first trailer we did for First Strike. In the beginning, in March, the game we released on March 13 on 2014, it was just a tablet game, just for iOS and Android tablets. So it's a game where you can select one of the superpowers. We had 10 nuclear superpowers, and the wannabe superpowers, like Brazil, who once had a program. You can just conquer territories, research technologies. I will show this tech tree later. Build your arsenal, and then you can shoot rockets and bombard the others. So that's basically First Strike, as Jeremy sketched out in the first concept after we had the beers. So First Strike is pretty simple, and that's the beauty of it. We had really difficulties dividing the world in different small countries so that the game is balanced enough. So let me show you a few slides how the game looked in the beginning. It's pretty nice to see the development. This was the day 2. It's just the world as a cube. You can swipe around. It just showed us how it will look in the future. And this is the prototype after 7 days. So you were already able to select the different countries. You had the buttons on the top to just do the basic actions. And then this was kind of the fun. This after 8 days, the first fun time, because you could shoot rockets and see their path to their target. And you already see we experimented with the space in the back, so it feels already like a little bit like the Earth is in the space, and you feel already this is home. So it was very important for us that if you choose to shoot rockets and destroy Earth, you felt a little bit bad because you destroy our home. And this was kind of the first time when you had the space in the back and you had the feeling. And then, we started experimenting with how space should look, and this was quite hard. This was very hard because it never felt really good. It took us some time, and finally the artist Diego just painted, out of a NASA picture, painted the whole space from scratch. So we made some progress. And then we realized, if you shoot rockets and destroy the world, it really has to change. So we introduced some new textures. And when first of all, you could really see how when rockets hit a country, how it affects and changes the shape of the world. And then it was very, very hard to make a balanced game. We had to divide the world in new country slides. So the board was balanced. This was not easy. Really, it was the hardest thing, because also there are some political things you can do wrong. So in the end, we had just to say, okay, let's forget how the world is in reality and just focus on making a balanced game. So after the next iteration, it just looked like that. And you see, this has nothing to do with the real world. These are the real superpowers and the wannabes. So you have the States, you have Brazil, who once had a program. For sure you have India, you have Russia, we have North Korea, we have Europe. And you see also the problem in Europe was that France and England both have nuclear bomb programs, but they are so close together, we will never be able to make a balanced game if you could play against each other. You could choose to be France and shoot against UK. It doesn't make sense. So we had kind of to merge them together into one power. So we cheated. So it was, at the end, it's not really reality. In the game, you play just Western Europe because we had to simplify it, the real world. And that's the end. That's how it looked after like 2,000 hours. And so you may ask yourself now, is it a serious game or is it just a fun game? And I can tell you for sure, it's definitely not a serious game. It's way too much fun to shoot rocket and destroy the Earth. Is it just entertaining? Is it only entertaining? No. It was very important for us to also make a game that has a message. So if you choose the path of destructing the whole world and just having fun by shooting rockets, and you are able to destroy everybody, so actually you win the game, we ask you as a player, did you really win the game, or was it just maybe a bad idea to choose this path? So you see, after you play the game, you have this end screen where you see what you did, how many people you killed, how many megatons you used, and actually you see all the explosions which happened in that gameplay. So that's first strike. Next is our inspirations, and I think that's very, very important as a game developer to have very different sources of inspirations to create new projects. So probably the biggest inspiration for us, and it's by far my favorite film, is Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, and how I learned to love the atomic bomb. So in the film, I don't know if you know it, there are these two bombs, and the crew drops them over Russia, and they have their slogans here, hi there, and dear John, and we integrated them into our game. So if you shoot a rocket, actually the same text on our rockets. And also, there is this doomsday clock. So scientists from the States invented this doomsday clock. It's a concept to show how near we are at the nuclear war. The nearer you are at 12 at noon, it's more possible that we have a nuclear world. So if you post first strike, you have this doomsday clock also in the game. So if you started a nuclear war, it's 12, and if you didn't start it already, it's just quite a short time before 12. We have a boot screen. It's the elephant with the rocket, the splash screen in the game if you start the game. It's our mascot, the elephant, and we have the inspiration for that from Banksy, the artist, the street artist. He has this one piece somewhere, I don't remember where, in one city. I guess it was London or something like that. So we copied that from him. And then the Dead Skull, that's Hans Erni, a very famous Swiss artist. He sadly died this year. He was 107 years old, I guess. And he painted that poster against nuclear war in the 60s. And we used that as an inspiration for our app icon. And then, I hope you know this game, War Games, the film from the 80s. It was probably also one of the biggest inspiration. it introduced this game, this concept of having the analogy of this is a game you cannot win. And in the game, the youngster starts by accidentally, starts almost a nuclear war, and the computers take over, and he has to teach the computers that in this game, nuclear war, nobody can win. And he does that with tic-tac-toe. We wanted to integrate tic-tac-toe as a hidden feature, but in the end, we didn't have enough time. So we skipped that. But Wargames was definitely very, very important for us. And Wargame also introduced us to this concept of mutually assured destruction, that, as I said, nobody really can win the game, the game of nuclear war. So that's how we came up with the idea of having this screen after you played around. And we also had the idea there that we could introduce another screen. There is actually a way of winning the game, and it's by not playing it. Because as I said, nobody can win a nuclear war. So you actually can win the game if you don't play it. So if you are able to convince the AI that everybody should reduce their arsenal and there are no bombs left, you actually get this screen. So this is a bit strange, because then it's not a game. If you don't play it, it's not a game. So it's a very strange concept. Imagine if you will play Call of Duty and just will have to throw away the weapon, everybody to not shoot. So it makes no sense. And this is also why only 0.5% of all players found out that there is actually a peaceful way to play the game. So, you know, if you want to have 100% progress in the game, you have to do that once. And it was very, very funny in the beginning. Before everybody, we told nobody when we released the game that you can play the game a peaceful way. And we got emails from people saying, oh, I guess there is a bug in the game. Because I destroyed the world like 20 times. And it just, I don't get this world peace. I mean, what I have to do to get this world peace? And I destroyed the world 20 times. And we got several of these emails, and we never wrote back. So after a while, someone said, hey, you just have to demobilize the weapons. And then the AI follows you, and then you get world peace. So yeah, it was quite fun. But as I said, only 0.5% of the players found this way of playing the game. I did it only once. Okay. So that was the inspirations for First Strike. Now let's get to game development strategy and what we learned. So there were basically 8 things I want to talk to you and advise you in. First, build fast your core features. Don't waste too much time on all additional features you don't need. So we copied that from the open source world, you know. There's a slogan, release early, release often. It's the concept of doing a lot of small steps and not a few big steps. So you get very, very fast to your target. So our strategy at Blindflug is always to build the core features, the first version of the game, just in 3 to 4 months of development time. And I think also already maybe we have to cut that to 2, because it's already a lot of time you invest to your first version of the game. So what that means is that first do a lot of brainstorming. We have tons of ideas for features, and collect all these ideas, and then identify your core features and throw away the rest. Just build that what you need to get the basic gameplay, let the basic gameplay going on. So just do that. So because then you still have enough energy to start marketing and do the release, the actual release, which is probably, and that's the sad part about doing games, much more important than just building the game. It's marketing and releasing the game. So if you don't have enough energy left to market it, nobody will know that you did that game. So it's very, very important to save some energy for the second phase of actually building a game or launching a game as an indie. And that's also the second thing I want to tell you. So we released the game in March, but actually it was done at the end of November, beginning of December. And we were really interested how the public would react to our game, but we just waited for 3 months. So it was a really frustrating time. You know, you have just invested like 4 months of your time, and you worked really hard to build the game, but then you just have to wait. And this gave us enough time to do marketing. So it's very hard for you as a developer to wait, but I really suggest that you do that. So we first released the trailer, which I already showed you, and then we wrote some articles, and we got some feedback from Gamma Sutra. They said it looks really fun, so it helped to get attention from different sites like Pocket Gamer and so on. We got a nomination for an award, Best Upcoming Game. You see it down there. But it helps. And which actually led to get featuring by Apple. So it takes some time to build up that. And you only have this time if you wait. Also, we learned a lot with dealing with media. So first, what you have to learn is that every reporter is an individual. You cannot use the same story for every reporter you want to have to write about your game. So you have to adjust your story. And for that, you need to understand that the media works in several sectors. So first, you have the core, which is very important for the industry and very important to get people knowing about your game who work in industry and are interested in games. Is the game media. And around that is the tech media. And around that is mass media. And if you are able to reach to the mass media, you will reach a big audience. And so it's always our target to get there, but you start first with game media, and then you go to the tech media, and then you go to mass media. But in every circle, if you talk to game media journalists, you have to use another story than if you go to the mass media audience. So you have to know what's your story. So it's very important to understand that not every reporter wants the same story, and it's quite of challenging because you release your game, so you have to adjust to that. So we wrote a lot of different texts, and we collected them all in an Evernote. So all team members knew the storyline if they talked to a reporter. And then we adapted that for every journalist. So to every journalist we wrote a special email, and I really suggest that you invest that time. It takes a lot of time. We wrote like 50 emails in the beginning, and it took us like 4 days, the whole team. Everybody had to write their special mails to the journalist, and we had a big list, and we said, okay, now let's write to this journalist, in what he may be interested. We researched, we Googled the guy, checked out what he wrote before, and then adjusted our story to him. So it was very personal, and they receive a lot of emails, and they somehow realize who takes the time to write to them personally. And also, don't start. It's a really important advice for me. Don't start with the biggest site first. Just talk first to the smallest site, to the journalist who writes for the smallest outlets, because they are really hungry for special stories, and they will listen to you. So if you first go directly to CNN and try to be on CNN, nobody really cares there about your little new indie game. So next is we try to talk to YouTubers. And this is quite hard for a mobile game. YouTubers can give you a really big boost if they have a big audience. And I think you don't see it somehow. He has like 6 million followers. So this can be a big audience, and it can really be a big push, marketing push for your game. So it can boost your sales like crazy. We decided to invest some time in that. So we made a list of 200 YouTubers manually, and we sent out a lot of emails, and we got no answer. So we did the same. We wrote them very personal messages, and from like 200 YouTubers, like 180 didn't wrote back, and only 2% or 4% really gave an answer, and only 4%, together 6% made a video. I tried. Oops. Try putting it back in. No, it's better? No, worse. Okay.
Put it back in without the audio cable.
Okay. That's good. And you know, the reason is really it's very hard for them to record video from tablets. And I guess that gets better now because there are some new software things and new capturing tools, but still it's very hard for them to record a good show about a mobile game. And so in the end, we also learned that mobile gamers don't really watch Let's Play videos. It's really not a very good match. I don't know if this is true for next year. So for the next game, I probably will try it again, maybe fail again, but I can just say it was a totally waste of time for us. It didn't help us at all writing at YouTubers. Maybe, as I said, I will try it again, because if you succeed, it could probably help you big time. Okay, and then something very fun we did. We tried the media hoax, social media hoax, because there is there's North Korea having like 3 or 4 bombs. And you know, North Korea is a bit strange and a country we make a lot jokes about it. I don't know if you know this one. There's the leader. Yeah, Big Bang style. So we read this story. North Korea has its own Android tablet. So we said, could it be fun if North Korea releases First Track? You see the icon on back there? So our Photoshopper made this picture. And this. But it was the trick. So we invented North Korea Game Association, and we made the story up. It was completely fake, that the North Korean embassy in Switzerland made us to make the game. So we said they hired us to release the game, to do the game and release it. And it was a gift from Kim Il-sung for the youth of the world to celebrate the release of their tablet. And, oops. So our idea was to sell to the media a story that we have a delegation going to GDC in North America and have their booth there. So North Korea will have their own booth at a GDC in San Francisco. And so we invented this guy. He was working at the embassy in Switzerland. I don't know if you can read it. I read it for you. He's the head of GDC, North Korea delegation, former chief development officer in the Minister of Electronics. Yeah. So we sent out a press release to like 300 journalists worldwide. And right at the moment when we thought, okay, it works, they bring actually the story, they believe us, it backfired. The guys from GDC really didn't like that, and they somehow destroyed our little hoax. I mean, it's okay, because they said, hey, we don't know a North Korea delegation, they didn't book the booth at there, so yeah, it was quite clear, so the fun was over like after 6 hours or so. But it was worth it, because if they would bring this story, you know, I showed you the graphics with mass media, we would have worldwide attention to our game. So I always suggest to try that out. not only it's big time fun, it's also, if it works, it's really worth it. It took us like 1 hour, 1 night and 1 day of work. Yeah, and we had to get the media list, but yeah, we had that from another project. So, yeah. Oh, we burned 1 credit card because we had to buy a MailChimp account. And you have to kind of authentify your MailChimp account so you can send out these mass mails. Yeah, so afterwards we couldn't use the credit card anymore because they deleted it and marked it as spammers. But it's, yeah, the guy had to buy a new one. It was okay. So we also did with this release, early release often strategy, we also did something very special. As I said, we released the game first only for tablets and later for smartphones. So the release phase was just tablets and iOS and Android, and then with expansion 1, we released it and we introduced it to smartphones, and with expansion 2, we will release it to desktops. And this worked very well. So now let's try. I hope the image doesn't get broken. Let's try again with sound, because I want to show you the trailer we did for version 1.1, which we also introduced. We introduced to. Okay, can we have sound again, please? Okay, I start again. So first track 1.1 was a big step for us. We introduced, as I said, the smartphone version and also some new super weapons. We introduced, inspired by the drones, we introduced the stealth bomber, a weapon you can use many times in the game, and it just flies. So it was a very short time to get into the moment where the bomb impacts. And we introduced the Tsar rocket. It's the gigantic rocket that takes a long time to build, and it's almost impossible to destroy it. You can destroy it, but you need to shoot many cruise missiles to get it down. And it has a huge blast, so it's also a very good super weapon to destroy your opponents. And this was inspired by actually the biggest nuclear rocket that was ever exploded on planet Earth. It was, if you compare it to other bombs, you see the 2 bombs that exploded over Japan. It was very, very, very big. This is the blast radius of these 2 bombs over my hometown. This is Zurich. So in the first circle is the Hiroshima bomb, the second is the Nagasaki, and the big one is the Tsar rocket. So it really destroys everything. It would almost destroy whole Switzerland with just 1 bomb. Yeah, compared to the Hiroshima bomb. So you see, it didn't take that much time as it did to build the first version, but it was still a big investment for us in time. So the core version was done quite quickly, and then with expansion, it took us almost a complete year to do everything together. We released one later, 1.2 in December, and so it was quite a fun year. So releasing 1.1 helped us to get an additional coverage. It's right on the back there, but still, it was a featuring of Apple for Best New Game Update. And this is kind of the jackpot, or it was the jackpot for us, because as you know, box office, like the first weekend, is very, very important when you release a game, a premium game, a paid game. So you see that sales numbers. So the first spike is releasing the iPad version 0. The second spike is releasing 1.1. So it was almost as big as the first spike. And it also helped to develop this long tail, which you see there right at the right. So we had it was very a big revenue source for us doing the version 1.1. And you see it also in the numbers. First week, second week, and then the long tail. So the long tail in the end was much more important for us as revenue. So we did not everything in box office, and this releasing new features, new free features to existing user really helps you to get marketing, mouth-by-mouth marketing, and so players love your game if you give them free new content, and they help you to reach out to new customers. So stage 3, expansion to new platforms will happen very soon. So we did expansion 2 at December, and we will make a new version like 1.5 years later, pretty soon, probably in the beginning of next year. And we will see to what platforms we go. We didn't decided yet, but we made a green light campaign, and we will probably release it for desktops. And I hope it will help us to get another spike again, to get more sales. Okay, and the 9th thing we learned, mixing fun and serious topics, that is probably, or can be a very, very good idea. So after 1 year, we had like 3.4 million plays. So it really a lot of people played First Strike, and it really, I guess it's not only because it's fun, it's also because it's a good topic to make your game around. So this was the point. You can do games. In the end, we also got a lot of good feedback from older people who said, I love that you make a game about such a serious topic, and you really train the younger generation to take care about this topic of nuclear bombs. So it switched completely, the feedback. As I told you, in the first, a lot of older people told us, no, you shouldn't do a game about a serious topic. And now we have the feedback, it's very good that you do a game about such a serious topic. And if you want to see how we did financially, I suggest you go to our blog. We made a chart, a big graphic, inspired by the guys from Monument Valley. They did that too, 1 year of Monument Valley. We did 1 year of First Strike, and we have put all our numbers and all our learnings there on these graphics. And so the money from First Strike until today, we made around $350,000 US. It really helped to build up Blindflug, our studio, and to start the company. It was kind of our seed money to do it. And so we could really build Blindflug and start working on other projects. And we released Cloud Chasers, our second game, 3 weeks ago. It's not doing that good, but it's still another source of revenue. And so now we are here and to conquer new markets, and we learned that we have to adopt. So we released First Strike for India like 3 days ago. We released it on Google Play, and it's a free-to-play game now, or it's free at least, and you have to watch, or you can watch ads to get to research things. So it will be very, very interesting for me to see if this works here. But I really have to learn, or we have to learn other business models than just premium. And I'm really looking forward for your feedback for First Track. And I hope you get it on Google Play. And yeah, that's basically, this was my talk. Thank you. And I hope you find it interesting.